Last year we saw a ton of delays that made this year's slate of games pretty great looking. However, there were also a lot of great new announcements, and today we want to talk all about those. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the top 50 upcoming games announced last year. Starting off at number 50, it's Showa American Story, an 80s pop culture RPG set in an alternate United States where Japan has bought out most of the world and is a stronger economic power than the US today. Honestly, it looks really cool. It's got B-movie plot stuff to it, it's a revenge story, and you end up going all the way across North America. We don't have a release date, but Showa American Story looks cool as hell. At number 49, it's Routine, a game that was announced back in 2012, but wasn't actually something that was pursued. Like, it's not been in development for a decade or anything. The developer Lunar Software revived the project last year, announced it, and wow, does it look cool. It's a sci-fi, first-person survival horror set in an abandoned lunar base. It's going to be Xbox and PC exclusive, and we'll let you know when we know more about when it's coming out. At number 48, it's Blight Survival, a 4-player co-op roguelite that's set in a medieval time period and exists in a kind of action horror space. The footage I've seen of it kind of seems like medieval Resident Evil 4, but obviously a lot more modern. It's a really cool looking game. As of now, it's only announced for PC and we don't know when it's coming out, but I do look forward to playing it. At number 47 is Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, a game where you play as a ghost hunter who dies during the course of a mission and becomes a ghost. She also hates ghosts because basically her job is protecting the living from the threat of the dead. So you basically carry that mission on along with your boyfriend and try to figure out some way to liberate you from being a ghost. Because, wow, one of her strongest character traits, as stated in the marketing materials, is that she doesn't like ghosts. This is coming to us from Don't Nod. It's definitely a different looking game, as are all of their games. It's coming out sometime in 2023 to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And number 46 is Crysis 4. Wow, this was actually announced early in the year, and Crytek was pretty mum the rest of the year about it. But having recently remastered all of the other Crysis games, it makes sense. It's the newest version of the Crytek engine. It's gonna bring your PC to its knees. No idea when it's coming out though. And number 45 is Horizon Call of the Mountain, a first-person VR game spinning off from the Horizon series, taking a completely different perspective with a completely different character. It's got a lot of potential to be interesting on account they describe the main character as a master of climbing and archery. So you know what the VR game is going to be. Climbing and archery. The Horizon world's beautiful. If they execute this right, it's going to be a really cool game. This one's actually coming out real soon, February 22nd to PSVR, so on PS5, and we're obviously going to cover this game more very soon. At number 44, Rise of the Ronin is a new action RPG that kind of gives us the last days of the cowboys, but in Japan. It's from Team Ninja, so the developers of Neo. However, it does have a little bit less of a Souls-like appearance and seems to have a little bit more of a focus on story. I think it's going to be a really cool game. I love the aesthetic of it. Gives off Ghost of Tsushima vibes, except for much more modern in time period. Like it's the mid-1800s. Rise of the Ronin, coming to PS5 sometime this year, allegedly. And number 43 is a narrative Star Wars game coming from Skydance New Media with Amy Hennig at the helm, the writer and director who is most well known for her work on Legacy of Kain, Jak and Daxter, and Uncharted. We don't know a lot about it other than the games she is most well known for being involved in. All three of those kind of indicated directions, so this might be what Star Wars 1313 never was, a kind of an Uncharted style Star Wars game, and I'm all for that. I hope that's what it is. I don't know, obviously, and we don't know anything about the release window or anything like that, but I can't wait to hear more. And number 42 is Greedfall 2: The Dying World, a sequel to the first kind of BioWare style RPG from developer Spiders, and they usually don't make sequels to their games. They move on to something new, but I think they realized that Greedfall was interesting enough to keep going with it. This was one of those kind of divisive games, both for some technical issues that it had, as well as for being an overtly political game, if not completely set within a very fantasy setting. Greedfall 2 apparently takes place 3 years before the first game, so it reverses almost everything about it in terms of the story. I'm interested because I thought Greedfall was pretty good. There's some stuff you gotta kind of grin and bear, but when Greedfall 2 comes out whenever, I'll be playing it. And number 41 is Miasma Chronicles, a tactical RPG light where a not too distant future America has been torn apart by a force known as the Miasma. We obviously don't know a lot about that, but it's hostile enough to warrant turn-based tactical combat against it, right? That sounds great. It looks great, very cool, stylized aesthetic. You have a robot following you around that reminds me of Chrono Trigger for whatever reason, and there's a mystery to solve and an America to save. I'm in. The game's coming to Xbox Series, PS5, and PC sometime this year. At number 40 is Resident Evil 4, probably the point where the Resident Evil series crossed into the type of game that it is today, and therefore compared to Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, the remake will probably resemble the original quite a bit more. However, it is a game that very much could benefit from modernization of controls. And let's not lie, the graphics in the recent Resident Evil games have been amazing, and Resident Evil 4 at that level is gonna be amazing. Currently, it's slated for the PlayStations, the Xbox Series, and PC on March 24th this year. I am psyched. At number 39 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, set 5 years later to be specific, and continues the sort of Souls-light formula that the original established. Obviously, they haven't revealed too much. The first game is great. It's really fun to play as a Jedi post Order 66, and this one takes place around the same time as the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, so we'll see if there's any crossover there. That's landing on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC March 17th. At number 38 is Forza Motorsport. They've dropped the numbers, folks. And you know what that means. They're serious. As you know, Forza Motorsport is pretty much, other than Gran Turismo, the most realistic and beautiful series of racing. We don't honestly know a whole lot about this other than it's been in development for a very long time. But it's Forza, and we love Forza. And number 37 is Layers of Fears, an Unreal Engine 5 remake of Layers of Fear 1 and Layers of Fear 2, plus the DLCs all bundled into a single package. Not necessarily the exact games, mind you. These are a new game built on the foundations of all of these other things. The original is a psychological horror game about a painter who is psychologically unstable. The second takes place on a ship with an actor, has similar mechanics, and there's actually a new game in development, and they just wanted to put out all of the original stuff in a beautiful single package. And number 36 is The Altars, a game from the creators of Frostpunk, about a guy who crash landed on a distant planet, and you apparently play as a bunch of different versions of yourself, making various different choices. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it sounds intriguing. It's coming to PC sometime in the near future. And number 35 is Warhammer 40k Boltgun, a retro-style FPS that draws heavily on Doom and Quake, but is also very obviously taking advantage of a lot of new technology as well. I mean, what more is there to say? It's a boomer shooter in Warhammer 40k. It's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, Switch, and PC sometime this year. And number 34 is a Lollipop Chainsaw remake, the cult classic hack-and-slash zombie game that is attempting to be as close as possible to a remaster with some minor alterations. For instance, they're not able to include the licensed songs, but they don't want the game to play different, and that's what fans of the original will probably want. We don't know exactly what platforms, but we do know it's supposed to come out sometime this year, so we'll keep you updated on that. And number 33 is Stuntfest World Tour, a racing and extreme sports mix with 18 players competing against each other in races and death matches, and I don't know, if you look at the footage of this game, it looks totally insane. If it plays out cool, this is a completely unique new game. And that's always fun to see. We don't know exactly when it's coming out, but it is coming out on PC sometime this year. And number 32 is Soulframe, a new game from the creators of Warframe. It's a free-to-play, massively multiplayer online RPG set in a fantasy world, drawing inspiration from Princess Mononoke, The Neverending Story, etc., etc. It's pretty different from Warframe and also cites Elden Ring as a possible major influence on the game. The game is coming to PC. We do not know exactly when, but it's certainly interesting looking. And number 31 is Aliens Dark Descent, a real-time strategy game, which I don't recall one of those ever existing in the Aliens universe. It is a level-based game. You have to set squad tactics and traverse through and attempt to stop a new xenomorph threat. I think the franchise lends itself to a possible pretty good RTS. We'll see, though, when Aliens Dark Descent lands on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC sometime this year. And number 30 is Luna Abyss, a first-person shooter with a heavy emphasis on narrative, where you have to explore a mega prison to recover a forgotten technology. This one's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC sometime this year. At number 29 is Wreckreation, a driving/open world sandbox building mix where you create insane worlds and then drive around or race around on them. It looks really cool. Pretty much everything's customizable and the racing is heavily arcade inspired. I'm totally there. This, frankly, could be one of the best games of the year in terms of what I like in a racing game. It's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC sometime in 2023. At number 28, Ravenbound, an action roguelite set in an open world, inspired by Scandinavian folklore. The action is fast-paced, the world is massive and absolutely beautiful, and the baddies have an uncanny weirdness to them that I really enjoy. Ravenbound is coming to PC sometime this year. At number 27 is The Lords of the Fallen, an action RPG that isn't a remake of the original game, but instead an all-new game attempting to reignite the franchise, a game where you go between the worlds of the living and the dead, giving us more Dark Souls-type action. Lords of the Fallen is coming out sometime this year to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And number 26 is Dune Awakening, an open-world survival MMO set in the Dune world, coming to us from Funcom, previously known for Conan Exiles. There is not a lot known about this yet, other than it's a persistent online world, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC sometime this year. And number 25 is Everywhere, a game that defies explanation currently, so the 20 seconds I have to talk about it is not going to be enough. It comes to us from Leslie Benzies, formerly of Rockstar. It's an Unreal 5 engine game that seeks to shed the limitations of a typical open world game. That is basically what we know about it. It's allegedly coming out this year. We don't know exactly to what platforms. Probably PC, probably PS5, probably Xbox Series. I just want to know more about it personally. And number 24 is Alone in the Dark, a new survival horror game. The original game was one of the first mainstream 3D games that wasn't an FPS. And the team making this version of Alone in the Dark is kind of following the template of the new Resident Evil remakes. I'm excited for that. I think that's exactly the type of game they should be making for Alone in the Dark nowadays. It's going to be coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC sometime this year. At number 23, they are remaking Gothic, a game from 2001 that was, to be frank, pretty revolutionary for the time. Gothic was a Piranha Bytes game. Imagine the Alex games, but in 2001, when they would have actually been revolutionary, and that's what Gothic was. We don't know when the remake's coming, but it's coming. And number 22 is Pikmin 4. It's been a very long time since a new Pikmin game came out. Pikmin 3 came out in 2013, and it is truly a very good game. I love Pikmin, and I'm really excited for a new one, because although Pikmin 3 is enhanced for the Nintendo Switch, it very much looks like a game from 2013. Pikmin 4 doesn't have a release date yet, but it is coming to the Nintendo Switch this year. And number 21 is SYNDUALITY, a third-person mecha shooter where you're obviously taking control of a big old robot and shooting stuff. It's also a mixed media project with a series coming to Disney+. The game, however, is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC sometime this year. And number 20 is Like a Dragon Ishin, a spin-off of the Yakuza series, which is now known everywhere as the Like a Dragon series. This one takes place in the mid-1800s and is actually not dissimilar in plot and location to Rise of the Ronin. However, it's not going to feel anything like that game because it's going to play like Yakuza 5. This is actually a game that was previously Japan only, while the new one is worldwide and recasts several of the people to have characters from other mainline Yakuza titles, and lands on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC February 21st. And number 19 is Tekken 8, the first Unreal Engine 5 fighting game. Holy crap, look at it. The real-time effects that we've seen so far are insane, and I cannot wait to play this game. Just on graphics alone. Tekken is also, like, aside from Street Fighter, basically the premier fighting game series. So, I don't know what else really needs to be said. I can't wait to play this. It's coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC sometime this year. And number 18 is Fire Emblem Engage, which is launching very, very soon. It's the latest entry to the tactical RPG series that we all know and love so well. This is kind of a best-of game that features people from many, many different Fire Emblem games, but exists in a new plot and is probably just going to be fan service city in terms of romance, story, etc. It's coming to Nintendo Switch on January 20th. And number 17 is Like a Dragon 8, previously titled Yakuza 8. They've, again, like I said, switched over the full series name to Like a Dragon, which is what it's called in Japan. Like a Dragon 7 was turn-based, and so is Like a Dragon 8. It basically continues the story of 7. It's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC, actually probably 2024. And number 16 is Octopath Traveler 2, which, based on the success of the original Octopath Traveler, was a very obvious thing that was going to happen. It had its own little problems regarding the narrative structure, but it seems like they've taken on the criticisms that people have had because they've said the character stories are going to intertwine more this time around, and I think this is going to be an awesome game. I love Octopath Traveler. The sequel's coming to PlayStation 4, 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC February 24th. And number 15 is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which takes the series back to the more straightforward narrative style that its empire was built on. Not that the big open world ones are not fun or I don't want them around. I definitely do want them to keep making those. But I'm also really happy to be getting more of a regular Assassin's Creed game. It's going to be coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, PC as well this year. At number 14 is Assassin's Creed Codename Hexe. Don't know exactly what this is, but they're calling it a very different type of Assassin's Creed game. Given the imagery of the 30-second teaser they gave, we have to imagine it has something to do with the Salem witch trials or something along those lines. That's pretty much everything we know, though, and we have no idea when it's coming out. At number 13 is Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which is an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, which absolutely yes, hell yes. Again, this is one we don't know a lot about, and we've really only seen some art, technically, which is more than Codename Hexe, but less than we can make any inferences about exactly what kind of game it is, and we don't know when it's coming. And number 12 is Silent Hill F, an entirely new mainline Silent Hill game, but is set in 1960s rural Japan, so it's a very different looking Silent Hill. Again, we don't really know very much about this game other than its era and setting. It does look pretty wild and like a pretty big departure for Silent Hill, so we'll keep you updated on anything new we hear of it. And number 11 is Silent Hill Ascension, which is something I don't fully understand yet. Apparently, it's going to be a massively interactive live event, which streams one time, and the decisions of the community are going to become canon in the Silent Hill mythos. It's a collaboration between Konami, Bad Robot Games, Behavior Interactive, and Genvid Technologies. It's coming sometime this year and will probably remain a mystery for a little bit longer. And number 10 is the Witcher Remake, a remake of the original Witcher game in Unreal 5 as a fully open world game. I think great decision, as it was originally a linear level-based game. Adapting the script to an open world game, I think, is a great, interesting challenge. And of course, I want to play more Witcher at any given time. I don't want to go back to the way that the original game was structured because it is jank to the extreme, and I'm excited for it. We do not know when that is coming. And number 9 is Crime Boss Rockay City, a turf wars / FPS game that can be played single player or multiplayer. It's a very interesting looking attempt at a crime game. The footage we've seen of the game is pretty cool. However, obviously, they're very keen on saying subject to change on the bottom of anything they've released, so we'll see. At number 8 is Amnesia: The Bunker, a new Amnesia game taking place in a World War I bunker. This version of Amnesia will have weapons, although we'll see if that actually has a huge effect on things. Amnesia: The Bunker is coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC in March. At number 7 is Lost Soul Aside, an action RPG that has some aesthetic similarities to Final Fantasy, but comes to us from Alta Zero Games. It's an action RPG. It was a game that started off as a single developer's solo project back in 2016. The reason we're counting this announcement is because the thing that's been announced is pretty different from the original announcement. It's a full-blown studio developing the game now. It looks cool. We'll see more about it soon, I'm sure. And number 6 is Remnant 2, the sequel to Remnant from the Ashes, a solo or co-op third-person survival action shooter, basically continuing the story of the first game. I mean, the original was pretty popular, so I think it's probably a good idea to make a sequel for it. We don't know exactly when it's coming out, but Souls-like shooters are few and far between, and this one did it very well the first time around. And number 5 is Company of Heroes 3, an RTS that follows the series. They're billing it as the ultimate package of action, tactics, and strategy. The last game came out in 2013 and was kind of divisive, so this is kind of a nice spot to reboot and do it right. Company of Heroes 3 is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC February 23rd. And number 4 is Hades 2, the first sequel from Supergiant Games. Obviously, you know what a Supergiant game is. You know how big of a success Hades was, taking a roguelike approach to the type of game that they make, and I'm excited to get into this. Hades 2 is going to be released in early access the same way the original was, and then eventually ported to consoles. And number 3 is Crash Team Rumble, a kind of platform 4v4 team competition game. Honestly, it seems like a pretty fun idea, and if they execute it right, this could be Crash actually having a multiplayer competition game of its own. Like, Crash Team Racing is fun, but it's obviously, Mario Kart. Crash Team Rumble is not really like any other game that I've seen, at least from the trailer, and I hope that it ends up being as cool as it looks. That's landing on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and it's landing sometime this year. And number 2 is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, From Software's big mech game announcement. There has not been an Armored Core game in a very long time, and while they said that it's not going to be a Souls-like, it will be incorporating some of the things that they've learned from Dark Souls and the massive success that's been, however, applying it to a very, very different type of game. This one's going to be landing on PS4, 5, the Xbox Series, and probably PC, though they did not give us a release date. And finally, at number 1, probably one of the biggest surprises I can imagine, Death Stranding 2. I still don't know what Death Stranding 1 exactly landed on. I've beaten it a few times, and it's a certainly very emotional ending, but I don't really understand it. So I don't really know where we're going for Death Stranding 2. Could be anywhere. We do know that Kojima's a damn genius, and I am excited to see this game play out. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.